And good evening and welcome, my fellow scribblers. Hope you're very well this fine evening where the sun is out, the sky is blue. Actually, there's plenty of clouds this blue, and it has been raining. But hey, it's British summertime. What do you expect? Welcome one and welcome all to, well, I've sort of renamed it the waffle stream tonight because strictly speaking it's not about writing, because we kind of done that. We've been there, we've done that. It's a thing that we've done. So I thought tonight just literally waffle for the entire time. So brace, everybody brace. Hopefully it'll be okay. But welcome one for the first time, for the last time actually. How are we going to tell the difference between GB with his usual positive note of encouragement? Thank you for that. Thank you for that. I knew I could count on you. Anyway, we must, for the final time, at least for the now. We must do the thing, because the thing is the thing that we do, and the thing must be done. with a touch of nostalgia already. Anyway, who do we have in the chat? We have Orkney Sean. Well done, Commander Orkney Sean. We will be moving much closer together now. Not sure what impact that's going to have on the space-time continuum in the upcoming months, but Orkney Sean is currently several hundred miles away. He'll be slightly less numbers of several hundred miles away. We complete up to Scotland, so that's going to be a bit weird. But anyway, welcome to you, Orkney Sean, first in the chat. Congratulations. Who's up next? It's Manbucksoft. Poised as ever on Wikipedia. Should we need any expertise? And let's be honest, this stream does need a lot of expertise. Wintermute GP is next. Of course he is. Already, with great encouragement chucked into the chat. It's always good to see Commander J188 here, a stalwart of the stream as ever. Always good to see you, Commander J188. The Arrakis are here, fighting off the invasions of the Harkonnens, closely followed by the Harkonnens, who are poised to invade Arrakis. As ever, it looks to me as if the final battle between the Harkonnens and Arrakis is actually never going to be decided. So we've still got that to look forward to at some remote point in the future. We'll have to see how it goes. Frank Miner 2949 is here as well. Always good to see you. Commander Sea Dweller is here with a Womble ensemble, which is a thing. Definitely a thing. That's another thing that we must tell. Big 39 GT is here as well. Good to see you. Commander Tragic Blue 21 is here as well. Biff Boy 81 is here. Lizzle Graham is here as well. We have the loyal crew are all kind of kicking about and having fun. DJ Squibby is here. Good to see you, Commander. Who haven't I missed? Who haven't I missed? Who have I missed? No, yes, that's right. Who haven't I missed would be everybody, because I've spoken to everybody apart from Lumsace, who's just arrived in the evening. Thank you very much, Lumsace, for turning up as well. So there we go. So yes. So actually, I did hear about that Orkney Sean. You might be becoming Norwegian. I was reading that in the news this afternoon. What's this? Is Norway invading Orkney, or is Orkney basically saying, sod that United Kingdom malark, let's go and ally ourselves with Norway? I feel more detail is required. Happy belated Canada Day. Yes, I've kept the little oddly enough, Scottish and Canadian flag there. I hope you spotted that. So yes, happy Canada Day for the other day. So that's quite good as well. If I may, Drew, I would like to make it clear that I'm not going to have to learn Norwegian just because our local single brain cell councillor thinks it's a good idea. Right? Okay. So there's a difference of opinion in Orkney as to whether it's going to be a good idea or not. So is it kind of like give us more cash or we're going to defect to Norway? Is that basically what's going on? I don't know how big a threat that is, to be honest. I mean, particularly from down here in Kent, I'm not sure the lack of Orkney will be all that keenly felt by the people of the southeast of England. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, what? Spill the beans, Orkney Shore. What the heck is going on up there? I mean, it's definitely rumblings around the borders. So something's up. It's just kind of like, I mean, How much of Scotland can defect to Norway? Well, that's a good question, actually. So, I mean, I must admit, my knowledge of history of Orkney is entirely absent. I'm afraid. So, I mean, it's presumably got some ancient tie to Norway. Is that what's going on? Um, some ancient pledge of allegiance against the Brits or the Scottish or something. What is it? Okay, so Mad Monksoft has anticipated my query. Orkney was under Norwegian and Danish rule until the late 15th century. Was it really? Right, okay, I didn't know that. When the islands were handed to Scotland, right, as security for the wedding dowry of Margaret of Denmark in her marriage to King James III of Scotland. Right, okay. So you were Norwegian. Then you became a gift, a wedding gift. Part of the dowry given to James III of Scotland. So, I mean, 15th century, what we now in 21st century, it's only 600 years, Sean. I mean, maybe it's time he became Norwegian again. I mean, 600 years of being Scottish is enough for anybody, right? Oh, dear. Not even the dowry. I know. It's the security. So what actually was the dowry? I mean, what was the dowry something bigger? I mean, what was the dowry? The Shetland Isles or something? I don't. Or the Isle of Man, or the whole west coast of Scotland. So, what was the actual dowry? I'd like an island for my wedding gift. Yeah, I think. I mean, I'd settle for the whole of the Orkneys. I think we could come to some arrangement. Should that be? I am, of course, already married, so that might cause a little bit of a friction as well. But are there any viable princesses in Denmark? I don't know. History is funny, isn't it? Dear oh dear. Security on the dowry. Right. Monksoft is delving further into the troubled history of the Orkneys. Margaret's father, King Christian I of Denmark and Norway, undertook to give her a dowry of 600 florins of the Rhine, which I'm guessing is a fair stack load of money. But as he could not raise the full amount, it was agreed that he would pay 10,000 florins and pledge his lands and rights in Orkney as security for the remainder. I'll give you some money. Meanwhile, here's a soggy rock in the far northeast of Scotland. Drewing are no longer allowed into Scotland by decree of Orkney, Sean. For an island, a bit of a 60,000. I mean, does anybody know how much 60,000 florins of the Rhine was worth? I mean, I'm assuming that's a fair chunk of cash. Rheingilden. What? 60,000 Rheingilden. That sounds like a lot, particularly in the 15th century. Orkney Sean seems to have limited itself to 2 or 3 words at a time. Is that a Norwegian thing? Right. I'm glad we've got Mad Monksoft with us this evening, because otherwise we'd be totally ignorant. Right, the cost of 600,000 Reuben florins in British pounds today is only 26,000. 26,000 pounds, according to the open exchange rates compared to yesterday. Okay, so that clearly surely there must be some inflation involved, right? Sean's not very fast at typing. That's what's going on there. We are now and will remain Scottish, right? Okay, I think that's fairly definitive. Yes, that was. Well, if tell you what, Sean, I'll buy the Orkneys for £10,000. How does that grab you? Maybe have you got the Chancellor or the Councillor, whatever his name is? Have you got his phone number? I'll offer £10,000 and See what he has to say. Then I can promote you to, some, I don't know, top Sean of Orkney. It certainly got us in the news. It did. Yeah. So presumably that was the point. It's a political stunt. True, this is being recorded. Sell the house. Buy Sean's entire island. He wants to be an earl. Frank Miner's undercutting me for some strange reason. I think that's how auctions work, Frank. For 5,000. How much is the Orkney's worth? What do you reckon? What was it Blackadder said? It was enough cash to buy the Outer Hebrides, which was, I think, 14 shillings and sixpence. Dear. So anyway, there we go. Poor old Sean. Remember, we have all. Well, yes. Well, that's. I'll add a couple of extra £100 in for that then. So Dr. Quest MD is here as well. Good to see you, Dr. Quest MD. Thank you very much for popping in. We are literally just waffling. So I mean, 270 sheep. I mean, on a serious note, how well, on a vaguely serious note, how many people live on Orkney, Sean? Just out of what is probably now sheer morbid curiosity. How many people actually live on Orkney? Because I must admit, I mean, one of the big attractions for 250,000-ish people. Okay, so not very many. Drew's definitely not ingratiating himself with the Scots, does it? Well, I'm not from the Scots. I'm just saying Orkney used to be Norwegian. Well, a long time ago. 25,000 people. So actually, one of the big attractions about moving to Scotland for us actually is literally the population, because there's just less people in that part of the world. I think I'm right in saying that the entire population of Scotland is, and that's everything in Scotland, is it's about 6 million people. I think that's about right. And the entire, if you add the population of Kent, Essex, and Sussex and Surrey, I think down here, which is really just the southeast corner of England, that comes to 6 million people already, and you haven't even included London. In fact, if you included London, you'd blow it out completely, because London's insane. Yeah, I live in a very overpopulated is subjective, right? But from my perspective, overpopulated part of the world, and I'm looking forward to moving to a less populated part of the world, less peoples in it. So that would be a good thing. The population of for those of you who don't live in the UK, the population of the UK is very, very skewed to the south. You'll probably find, if you drew a line, through the middle of the UK, probably 3/4 or more of the population would live south of that line. Pictures Drew the kilt Odie. I have threatened my wife with learning to play the bagpipes. I'm actually rather quite keen on that. For some strange reason, nobody else is. Can't fathom that to myself. But I'm only going to do it just to annoy Wintermute GB, of course, because he's a fan of my playing, as we know. I'm going to insist. Actually, I'm going to send a message to the Starship Simulator people and see can they implement some bagpipes inside the ship, and then I'll just stream 24/7 bagpipe playing in a spaceship. Headline: author slain by a wife wearing knee defenders. Both my dad and my brother play the bagpipes. Oh wow! Okay, if I'm going to need to get some tips, because I mean, you presumably have to inflate them. I see them doing the thing with the arm. Do you have to is that inflated by your breath initially? You kind of inflate the bagpipe by blowing into it, and then it sort of deflates at a certain controlled thing when you're playing the thing. It's obviously a bag full of air instead of a bagpipe. But I'm just okay. So you have to maintain whiskey fumes, and so you do maintain the air. Okay, so it's going to be a big 39 GT, a gentleman, a man who knows how to play the pipe, but chooses not to. Okay, so Irish pipes are not inflatable. So I like all those sort of rather kind of Celtic style instruments. I need to get some more of them and play some. Okay, but you practice on a chanter. Okay, which is kind of like a recorder. So you start with a chanter, right? Okay, so that basically allows you to learn the fingering, presumably. When Drew returns to streaming, dodgy MIDI renditions out, dodgy bagpipe playing is in. Yeah, well, I've still got my and I didn't get all that far with it. My what's the thing called? The little other instrument that I got. I can't remember the name of it now. The one with the aerial, the electron, that one. I have started on that, but I've run out of time to learn to play it. My dad has a USB bagpipes. Is that a thing? With earphones. Excellent. That's amazing. You can get USB. A theremin. The theremin. That's it. Yeah, the theremin. I have started with a theremin, but I haven't got very far with it. Okay, so the mouth just keeps the bag full. It's squeezing the bag that blows the air through the pipes. Right. Okay. So that sounds like a really, really tricky instrument to play. DJ Truthsayer is here. Ahoy! Ahoy, good to see you, DJ Truthsayer. Thanks for dropping into the stream. My last stream for a bit. Bagpipes are really, really loud indoors. Excellent. Check out the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I love them. Okay. We'll bear that in mind. I'd like to see you play for DJ Truthsayer asked, why is the last stream for a bit? Well, I'm in the process of moving house. DJ Truthsayer. So in order to move house, I need to pack everything up, and I'm moving from England to Scotland, which complicates the house buying selling process. So essentially, what I've got to do, for reasons that are too complicated to explain in any depth, is I've got to sell my house here in England, go into rented accommodation, and then buy a house in Scotland. And that's going to take me probably at least 6 months, I would guess. Possibly even longer. So that's the plan. But in order to do that, I've got to pack everything away. So the house literally went on the market this afternoon. So yeah, it depends how quickly we get a buyer, of course. But I've basically drawn a line in the sand, a metaphorical line in the sand, not literally a line in the sand because I haven't got any sand, but a metaphorical line in the sand because us writers never use cliches. This is my last stream for a while, so I'm literally just doing some chatting and waffling on about inconsequential stuff and the history of the Orkneys, as it turns out. We're all very sad because Drew is becoming Norwegian. Apparently, this is. Well, I don't think Norway's got any claim to the southern parts of Scotland, has it? Unless somebody tells me otherwise. Electroraptor is here as well. Hello, good to see you. Thank you very much for popping in. I suspect it was the case, but I didn't want to blurt it out on the interwebs. No, it's all common knowledge now. I mean, you guys knew about it for a while back, but it's now on the Facebook and the Twitter. Nobody can read it on Twitter anymore because of what Elon Musk has been doing with Twitter. They might give the southern parts of Scotland as a day. Yeah, but we're going to need another Norwegian princess to marry off to somebody. Someone offered Norway Luton and they turned us down. Scotland has been warned. Drew Wager is inbound. Dear. Oddly enough, some of my ancestors quite a long time ago on my dad's side did come from Scotland. So, and as I've explained, I think many times before, I'm one of these people who is entirely not very nationalistic because I'm in the curious situation of being British, but I'm not English, Scottish, Welsh, or Irish because I was born in Canada. My mum's side of the family is from Ireland. My dad's side of the family is mostly from Canada, but they can trace their origins back to emigrating from Scotland. So it's believed. It's I'm not really established it, but and the surname Wager doesn't come from Scotland, obviously. I'm just a total cultural melting pot. I don't really. Yeah, I'm just kind of, I'm just am. Yeah, you better get used to being nationalistic in Scotland. It's quite funny. Yeah, I mean, I've been up there a lot, and you see a lot of that on the telly, and you see a lot of that in the press. But I haven't really noticed it talking to people when I was up there. So, I don't know. It's one of those weird things. So, and my son's been up there for a year, and he says other than the royal family, which seems definitely to be a pet hate, and probably the Conservative Party. Um, which, let's be fair, isn't a bad position to take, is it? Then everything's kind of good. So, and I'm you know, if you push me, I'd be quite happy to be a Republican. And if the Scots want to be independent from the UK, that suits me fine. I'd rather be part of Europe. And I like whiskey, so hey. To be frank, the Tories aren't very popular. Well, no, indeed. There will be a Wagar tartan. Them tartan salesmen are really, really keen to sell you one. Yeah, I'm sure somebody can make up a Wagar tartan. Something to do with being a bunch of criminals. Yes, I mean, I won't disagree. It's not the party political broadcast in any way, stretch or form, but there we go. But I thought it was only appropriate. I mean, can anyone remember? I should know this. Because I should have done some homework in advance of the stream, but literally I've been busy today because today was my last day of doing some other stuff as well in my kind of corporate world as well. So I've just finished a contract, which was another thing I've just ticked off. So everything, I'm getting to the point in my life at the moment where an awful lot of things have been like, yep, that's done. And my wife is the same. She's stopping working in a few weeks' time as well. So lots of things are coming to a conclusion this year, which is all rather interesting and if a bit weird. But can anyone remember when I started streaming? How long ago was it? It's several years, I know that, but I'm not sure exactly where. I can't remember when I started. Commander J98 says, would Lloyd's ensure Orkney? Wintermute GB is now cursing and is spitting at his screen. See the video, Drew? Yeah, I suppose that's a very good suggestion. It could be 5 years. That feels about right. It's a long old time, isn't it? And from obviously I started out as just an ordinary person, and I've ended up as just an ordinary person, and unfortunately didn't go through the massive streamer success in the middle at any stage. But hey, we've had fun. It's all been good. Drew, move the camera nearer the chat monitor. You never talk to camera. I'm always I suppose tonight I should really if I put that screen there we go. Because I normally got you guys on the other monitor, you see, which is obviously over there because you're used to be looking over there. Because I've got something on this screen that I'm doing, and of course tonight I don't need to do that, so I could just I could just look forward. There we go. And then the chat's now down over there. So if I move it like that, then I can kind of look at the chat, which is down there, and then I can kind of keep kind of vaguely looking at the let's try that. I should have to remember that for next time around. Would Lloyd's insure Orkney? I don't know. Maybe they do. So there we go. So I've progressed. Yes, I have definitely progressed. Lucky Luigi is low on internet, so just a quick good luck. Thank you very much, Lucky Luigi. I hope you get more internets from somewhere. It's like looking at someone with a wonky eye. Yeah, that could be very disorientating. It's not over though, is it? You will return. Yes, so it's not my final ever stream. The plan is that once I get myself established again, then I'll start up again. Okay, so according to Dr. Quest MD, my first stream was November 16th, 26. Was it really? So that's nearly 7 years, isn't it? So sort of 6.5, a bit more than 6.5, 6.75 years. Wow. That's a bit scary. That is a long old time. Anyway, so we've done quite a lot of stuff. I can't remember what I was doing at the beginning. Was it Elite stuff? Did I stream Elite at the beginning? I can't remember. Probably. I don't think the writing stream was there right from day one. I think I I remember doing the retro stream because of the Elite Community Meet in COVID. So that's a bit more recent. That can only be about 3 or 4 years old. But I was doing YouTube videos for Elite to start with rather than streaming it, because I don't think I streamed a great deal of Elite initially, because I didn't really understand streaming. It was Elite and chatting, was it? Okay. my memories of times past are clearly very, very inaccurate. So Elite and a bit of chatting, and then So I suppose, and then I did the law tours, but they were much more recent relatively, weren't they? So they must be about 4 years old. But anyway, there we go. 6 and 3/4 years of waffle. So, and you guys have stayed with me throughout. So I do appreciate it. I feel a little bit like I'm letting you guys down, but I can't manage everything at the same time. This is the problem. Because there's just so much stuff that kind of needs to happen. But hopefully I will be back at some point in the future. So we'll do that. And we did a lot of stuff, right? So I'm just thinking back on the Elite stuff. What was Elite doing 6 years ago? Was that must have been the end of my sort of premonitionary stuff. After the Salome stuff. Oh God. We won't talk about it anymore. That was about 6 years ago, wasn't it? In fact, it's literally just gone 6 years thinking about it. So that must be about that. Nonsense. You deserve to focus on you for a bit. You've given us amazing content in fun over the years. That's very true. My oldest video on YouTube was Oli. Yeah, but that wasn't that. That was way before streaming. So that was 14. 14 years ago. Did YouTube even exist back then? Good luck with the move. New place looks lovely from here. Yes, I haven't got any pictures of the new place. All the pictures that I've put up are just holiday snaps so far, really, of nice places in Scotland. So I'm hoping to find a nice place in Scotland, clearly, but there is no place yet, alas. But misspent youth 2023. Yeah, so it must have been post the Salome stuff in Elite that I kind of started streaming, and then we must have done, because it was Thursday evenings, wasn't it? I remember starting with Thursday evenings, and it must have been Elite related, and just waffling. And then I think we did the, and then I think it was probably something to do with the fact that I couldn't write any more Elite stuff, and I was doing my own writing. I think I started talking about the writing process, and we did some streams about this is what you do, and that's what this stream eventually morphed into. And that of course took us into the 9 streams of consciousness. It's a shame that Glenn's not here actually, because he could chuck some links in the chat for the 9 streams of consciousness, and that was a good 2.5 years ago now. We wrote that entire book anthology together on this stream. So I mean that was a thing that we did, which was quite fun, and hopefully some of you learned something about writing in the process. That was quite good. So good luck with the move. Thank you very much for that privacy. D-Day Truth says, my biggest regret to this day on Elite is that we tried to do something dramatic with Salome rather than stab you in the back right away. Yeah, thanks. It's funny actually. I mean, every so often somebody, it doesn't happen very often now, every so often I'll get an email about the Salome stuff, or a Facebook message, or a Twitter DM or something, and I've kind of given up answering them now, because it doesn't make any difference what I say, as everybody. And I've done some videos on Salome and the story of what happened, and the story about what happened, all those sort of things. It doesn't matter what I say. Everybody's got their own version of the truth, which they believe, regardless of anything that I say. It's one of those things that's just become a thing, and it's just like, okay, we did that. Everyone's got their view on it. So that was quite weird. I remember watching your writing advice videos on YouTube and then joining in with the streams following the release of 9 streams of content. I only just missed that. I'd have totally gotten involved with it, been around. Yeah, so we had a lot of fun with 9 streams of consciousness. That was a good thing. That was hard work. I think everybody involved with that would agree that it was hard work. It was quite an ambitious thing, but we did do it. So I mean, it's pretty good. First Law Tour video was uploaded to YouTube on the 3rd of April 2020, so that's over 3 years ago now. The truth is out there, says Mad Monk. Well, Lots of versions of the truth. The truth is that you got gotten, and we had someone waiting for you at the finish line as well. You'd never made it. Excellent. Pro BFC says, "Oh, they'd love to have got involved with the book." Yeah, so maybe we'll do something like that again. But of course, there's nothing stopping you from applying all the lessons you've learned on the writing stream to writing your own novel and getting it out there and stuff. Actually, on that note, dun dun dun, here's a little announcement. Today, actually on Friday, I got my first rejection note from for my contravention novel. So switching into writing. Where is it? Switching into writing mode for a moment. I fully expected to get a whole series of. Well, I've only applied. How many did I apply to? 3 or 4, I can't remember now. Anyway, I got one back, and it's a rejection. Yay! Unsurprisingly, but actually, it wasn't. I think I've done all right in terms of how rejection letters work, because there's multiple types of rejection letters. There's what's called the form letter, which is the one you really don't want, right? Which is thanks but no thanks, and that's basically all it says, with no preamble at all, right? But this one, and I'll read it out. I won't give the person's name because that will be unfair. But I'll read it out. See what you guys think. It says, "Thanks so much for sending in Contravention for consideration. I enjoyed your sample, but I'm afraid I won't be progressing it at this stage, as I didn't fall for it in the way I would need to sell it to the best of my ability. As I'm sure you know, publishing is a very competitive market, and agents need to be 100% behind the books that they represent. I'm so sorry not to be writing with better news." So at least it was personalised, and I got the impression that they had actually read it, which was something. So I'm taking that as a maybe it is a standard letter. Yeah, you could be right with GB. It could be standard, but it came back to Dear Drew. So I mean, somebody somewhere put a little bit of effort into it and maybe read the story, but there we go, never mind. But they haven't asked for me to clarify or change anything, so clearly not interested. So there we go. So my first rejection, bum, bum, bum. AI wrote it. Could be indeed. So that's the only piece of news. What I've decided actually on Contravention is that I'm going to give it until the end of, where are we? We're in July. I'm going to give it to the end of July, and then if I haven't had any nibbles on it from there, then I'm not. Then I'll just do it myself again, because I don't like waiting. I haven't got enough time to wait for this process to chomp through. They've got their chance, and if they don't want to bite, then that's their loss, not mine. I don't need it to be a major success. I just like writing, so I want to put the book out there. And you guys have been waiting long enough for a new Drew Wager novel, so it's time to keep the cogs going. And Commander Jan here, you might need to lob it at a few more agents. So I've seen people say they applied to later. Well, the thing is, I went through the ones that I thought were worth sending it to based on what they were interested in. And I could only find 4 in the UK that I thought, I would be interested in having a relationship with them if they were interested in my book. So I kept it very small, just 4, literally 4. And that's going through the Writers and Artists Yearbook and blah, 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 blah. I started off probably with a long list of about 15 or 16, but I whittled it down pretty fast. Because either they said on their bio they were looking for this and they were looking for that, and an awful lot of people are looking for dare I say it, what's the polite way of saying this, non-mainstream ethnic origins for their authors. So being a white middle class male, I'm not the target audience, so there's just as far as I'm concerned, that it's a waste of my time to send it to them. It's probably a waste of their time as well, because they're not going to consider it. I focused in on science fiction / fantasy agents, clearly, and I focused in on anybody who didn't say they were specifically looking for underrepresented author types. I could easily change. I suppose I could. Well, that's a fairly drastic way of getting your book published, right? So basically, when you stripped out anybody who wasn't looking for underrepresented authors, in terms of race, creed, colour, sexual orientation, blah 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 blah, and was still interested in science fiction and fantasy, and wanted a fairly seriously toned science fiction novel, there weren't many left, right? So I sent it to them, and one of them said nope. So, hey, I'll keep you posted. DJ Truthsaver, going back to the top of the chat, I'll never forget how worried you were about the way you wrote me. Yeah, so I must admit, I do remember the Premonition novel, because an awful lot of elite commanders starred in it, didn't they? And I had to write. There was a big scene in the middle called the Council of Eramus. And Eramus was a player who did the Distant Worlds expedition, as I'm sure you're all aware, and Distant Worlds 1 and 2, and was planning Distant Worlds 3 at one point. And I had to write this sort of, big speech where he basically corrals all the good guys into dealing with the bad guys, the Federation, clearly. And DJ Truthsayer was one of those, and I thought, got to have a bit of fun with this. So I'm basically going to get somebody to tell him to shut up in the middle of the conversation when he starts spouting off about something, and which sort of is something that has happened in real life. Let's be fair, DJ, so I wrote that into the novel, and I was a little bit worried about how I was going to get received by the actual real DJ Truthsayer, but as it turned out, he liked it, so that's quite good. Completely perfect. Commander J, I'm surprised Fantastic Books isn't picking up being part of Shade. Well, I've obviously Shade. This is one of those things I thought. Fantastic Books has done a whole bunch of stuff for me, and they're very, very busy at the moment with other bits and pieces. And some of the stuff I want to do with the Higara series is potentially sort of non-traditional stuff. So yes, I want to turn it into a book, but I want to be able to do other bits and pieces with it as well. And Fantastic Books obviously has a lot of stuff on their plate, and they also have to turn it around in a certain amount of time, and you have to be slotted into various bits and categories and bits in there. So this time around I wanted to see, it's for me to explore how this works, is if I don't, and it's almost certain that I won't get any kind of big publisher stroke agent interested in the book, I want to see what happens to one of my books if I go through the self-publishing route entirely 100% myself this time around. So it's an opportunity for me to experiment a bit, having been indie published, having tried to be traditionally published, not yet succeeded, and then this time I want to actually try and do a self-publishing route on one of my own books that's kind of one of my proper books, if that makes sense. So self-publishing is what I'm probably going to end up doing on this series, just to sort of see how it works. Because it means, on the plus side, it means I'm responsible for publishing and promotion and all that kind of stuff, and I get to do it all myself, which I know how to do now, and I can do it to my own timescales in my own line and blah 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 blah. And if it's super successful, I don't have to pay anybody any royalties, which is great. But on the flip side, I want to compare and contrast it with how the previous Shameless stuff went, which obviously is still going through Fantastic Books and will continue to be through Fantastic Books. So all that stuff is, I want to experiment with the different ways round on this particular one. So that's what we're doing. And part 2 will be delayed to the move. Yeah, so I must admit, right now, am I doing any writing? Not really. I've got my plate. Wagar Inc., should we say, has got its plate full of all sorts of stuff that we need to be getting on with. So the amount of writing is minimal. I did write that little short story for the AI competition the other week. That was quite good fun. So I do want to get back into. The writing at some point. But yeah, writing needs peace and quiet and no interruptions, right? And that it doesn't work when you're trying to sell a house, or when you're trying to pack stuff up, or when you've got to go to the dump and dump a whole bunch of stuff off, and your kids are moving in and out, and etc., 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 and some of them need dropping off in Scotland. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So there we go. So I'm gonna go with self-publishing for now and see how it works out. And Donnie's Law is just tuning in. So you're taking a break to write a book. What are you writing? I'm not taking a break to write a book. No, we're in the process of moving house. So I'm taking a break from streaming because of moving house, because it's very, very complicated. And so my streaming gear and everything else. That's why I haven't got my green screen anymore, because all our rooms, have, as you can see, have been sanitised and made very dull. Everything's magnolia now. That the entire house is magnolia, and there's nothing on the walls. It's very, very dull. So we'll see. I can always sign a deal later on if the publisher wants to pick up and self-publish book. You could do, yeah. It's not normally common that way round, because they kind of like to have first dibs on it, and they don't want it to be out there in the first place. So it's sort of a little bit, once it's been published by somebody else, it's kind of like no, we're not touching that. Somebody else has been there before us, kind of thing. So that doesn't work so well. And there, JR19 is effectively said the same thing. So if it doesn't work, and that's why I'm giving it to the end of July, then it's not going to work. So I'll just go ahead and do it myself. And I'm more than happy to do that. See, the thing is, writing for me is still fun, and I've never really been all that keen to turn it into a business. To try and make money out of it. I had a look at that a few years ago, and quickly decided it was way too much work and way too much uncertainty and way too much risk to do it. Unless I got really, really lucky, and the chances of that are very, very, very small, as I think I've told you many, many times. So it doesn't make sense. So I'm keeping writing as a hobby, but I do want to take it seriously. I want to create books that are high quality, to my standards. And if an agent or a publisher is interested, great. If they're not, sod them. I'll do it myself, because I don't care. Okay, I don't need my writing to be financially successful. If people get my books and they read them and they love them, yeah, that's good enough. That's what I'm doing it for. I've got other stuff in my life, old IT stuff and related things that allows me to keep the lights on and keep a roof over our heads and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of okay. I don't need the writing to do that. And I'm getting to that age where the pensions aren't too far away, etc., etc., etc. And when we move, we won't have a mortgage either. Part of the financial structure of everything I'm doing is to make sure that I don't have a mortgage. So the monthly cost of living will be dramatically reduced. As a result of that, which is again I don't know about how the rest of the world is doing, but in the UK the mortgage rates are now going incredibly stupid, so that's a good thing. Financially the writing is an irrelevance really. It's more about getting the book out there to the quality that I want, to the audience that is interested in reading it, which is you guys and hopefully a few other people as well. So that's what I'm trying to do. JL here says, if you're going to self-publish conservation, we should have a race to see who can get their book out. Bum, bum, bum. There we go. I'm hoping to get the Shadow of Arcadia edited, beta read and published before the end of the year. Well, okay, you're on, my friend. See if I'm certainly planning to get contribution out this year, regardless of what's going on. So yes, we'll see how that goes. So good luck to you. There we go. A Canadian Brit who resides in Scotland. Surely that's a small demographic. Exactly right. There can't be that many of those, can there? But I don't think it's unique enough to be a literary a subgenre. But there we go. And I've got a massive plan of books that I want to do. The Contravention is going to be the first of 4. I've got to sit down with Chris Wilde of Lords of Midnight fame and plan out some more fantasy novels as well. So those are to come as well. At some point, I've got an idea for revisiting the Shadewood world, Azurio, in a prequel kind of environment. I want to do a previous voyages of the Mobilus. So for those of you who remember those stories, the Mobilus was a ship in the kind of a character really, a bit like the Millennium Falcon or the Enterprise. The ship is more than just a vessel. It's kind of a character in the stories, and I don't explain where the ship came from in the Shadewood series. So I'd like to do where did the ship come from, and what's the story behind the ship. So that that might be a fun thing. Maybe just a one-off book in that particular one. There's possibilities. I've had a few ideas in recent weeks about not a sequel to Shadewood, but a kind of several years later in the Shadewood universe on the Shadewood world kind of thing. So I've got more ideas than I can I can execute at the moment. There's no shortage of ideas. What I don't have at the moment is time and quality time to sit down and do the writing, because lots of other stuff is going on. But and that, realistically looking at it, because we've got so much to do. So both my kids have moved out this year. One's up in Edinburgh already. Getting them sort of financially started is a thing. All parents have to go through. So that's something that's happening right now. My wife and I have got to move into rented accommodation and then move up to Scotland. We've got to bring my mum with us as well. We've got to sell her flat. We've got to get all that sorted out. So realistically, I don't think anything is going to settle down for us properly for about a year. I think if I haven't got everything vaguely sorted by a year's time, something's gone badly wrong. But looking at it, then you've got winter and everything else, and getting used to a new environment. And I've got to acclimatise to Scotland and blah 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 blah. And I'm sure there'll be some challenges I haven't foreseen there. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while, I think, to get kind of settled down. And to writing, you need quality time. Everything needs to be right, otherwise your brain doesn't quite switch on for the writing things. I think it's going to take me a little while to get that sorted out. But there we go. Where can we find your book? Will it be paperback or digital? All my books are on Amazon. Just type Drew Wager in, you'll find them. You've got a mix of elite stuff, my own stuff, Lords of Midnighty fantasy stuff. There's the reviews will tell you what book is what. Gian is doing all my admin for me on the stream tonight. All of Drew's current books are available on Amazon, both paperback and ebook, incorrect. An audiobook for some of them. I'm working on more audiobooks as well. Shadewood for sci-fi or Lords of Midnight for fantasy. Good recommendations, Gian. I could I'll slip you the fiver in a minute. Orkney Sean says, are you renting up here or down there? So the plan is to rent in Scotland because we want to be close by to the things that we're potentially looking at buying. So we can basically say, right, let's go down tools today and go over and look at said potential property fairly quickly, rather than, because it's like an 8 to 10 hour drive from Kent to Scotland, depending on traffic, and that's not sustainable to go and look at a house. We'll be renting probably somewhere mid Scottish borders, Moffat or somewhere around like that sort of place, and then we can strike out to the various areas reasonably quickly and go and look at something and go yep or no, don't like that. So there we go. Commander Cedro says, and don't forget Drew's Elite Universe books. Yes, that's such a long time ago. I was reflecting on this because obviously I must admit it's lovely to be on stream tonight, and it's lovely to have your company on this very waffly stream. I must admit to being quite tired. It's been, obviously I drove to Scotland and back on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, which is not a small thing, in a van. So that was a thing. But also Thursday we moved a whole bunch of stuff into storage, and Thursday evening I did the Michael Brooks Memorial Law Tour, which was a lovely thing to do actually, but I think it quite emotionally draining, because I had to put quite a lot of thinking into what I was going to say and the places we were going to visit and organising everything to do with that. And there's I'm sure most of you guys appreciate that you don't just, I know I do, just switch on the stream and go, yeah, let's do some waffle. But there is a bit of prep that goes into doing a stream, right? And the law tour is a very in-depth prep. Okay, so I probably spent 6 or 7 hours in the weeks before, sitting down, getting the game up, figuring out where I was going to go, working out the route, creating some graphics, doing the research as to what I was going to say, and all that sort of stuff, right? And it takes quite a lot of effort to put that sort of stuff together. And then the whole Michael Brooks thing was kind of like, you need to sit down and think, and you want to go, I want to do this properly. I want to pay homage to, Michael, and make sure he gets a good send off from my perspective. And there's a lot of emotion in that, and it takes a lot of energy, right? To put that kind of stuff in. So I think it does it does drain you a bit. And I noticed, I mean, dare I say, I'm getting a little bit older, as you know. It's like you don't recharge quite so fast. It's like your internal batteries are like NiCads. We've got a bit of a memory effect. So that's what Blue Gamer says. I've got new neighbours doing the same in Edinburgh, renting but looking to buy in the next 6 months. So well, there we go. That's exactly what our plan is. Blue Ganymede, exactly what it is. And the Elect Saga isn't too shabby either. So yes, I might even do a little bit more on the Elect Saga now that I've deleted it. Then I can add a little bit more to that story as well and continue Rebecca's adventures as well. Really, I did Newbury to Orkney in just over 10 hours, and that was overnight with a radar box running. So I tend to stick to the speed limits. Call me an old bluff traditionalist, but and I tend to stop every 3 hours for A, reasons of leg stretching, and B, bladder control. If that makes sense. So yeah, it normally takes. I mean, the fastest I've done it is 7.5 hours, and that's from here in Kent, where I am, which is deepest, darkest Kent, to just south of Edinburgh is 470 miles. Which it's not a particularly difficult drive. It's very straightforward. You just use the motorways, but. I'm whilst I like driving fast around racetracks, I'm not a big fan of driving fast on motorways. I just tend to stick at 70 miles an hour and stare everybody's way and listen to podcasts or music or something. Yes, I'm not a fast motorway driver. But yeah, so that's the plan. Definitely more books. But the other thing I do want to do, I mean, one thing I've not been able to do here in Kent, or at least not with the house that I've got, because it's just really, really awkward, and I kind of missed the boat on it about 10 years ago. So I do want to look into some, sort of sustainable living stuff. Partly, I'm interested. My wife's quite interested in cooking vegetables and growing vegetables and all that sort of stuff, and I'm kind of into that. But I also want to do some of the technology side of things, so solar panels and heat pumps and various bits and pieces like that. I kind of want to get into that. I don't want to go completely off grid, but yeah, I definitely don't want a Margot. No, that'd be horrendous. But I do want to kind of look into solar power and economic generation and those sort of things, and trying to reduce my carbon footprint. Not because I'm a particular eco warrior. I just like the idea of doing it. It sounds like the sort of thing that I should be doing at this stage. And I do need an observatory. Yes, I want to build an observatory. I used to have one. I want to build one again. And tootle about. So I've got an infinite number of projects, right? And I haven't got a vast amount of time left to do them. Solar power, oddly enough, solar power is fairly effective in Scotland, but only in the summer. It's not so good in the winter. But then hopefully the wind power and the hydro can take it. So in an ideal world, I'd have a house that's got south-facing view for the summer, and there's got a big stream running down one side that I can stick a hydroelectric thingamajig in. Because there's plenty of water, I've been reassured, in Scotland, which is a problem down here. We've already got a hosepipe ban in Kent, can you believe it? Because we've only got one reservoir. I'm fully aware there's going to be quite a lot of acclimatisation and stuff to a different life in Scotland, but that's the fun, right? So I don't want to go completely off grid, and then Drew becomes an eco-friendly hermit living in a Scottish cave. I know just the person you will need to meet. Perfect. Okay, well, I'm willing to learn, because I'm at this point I don't know enough about it to make any kind of sensible, informed decisions about anything. But I would be interested in doing that. Parrot with waffles. Yeah, I could do that, definitely. A compost corner and maybe some polytunnels for growing vegetables and fruit and who knows. But in order to do all that sort of stuff, you need a bit of space. So one thing that I'm looking for is space to do it. Not space, but space. So it's going to be a total different lifestyle choice, and I'm quite excited about doing a new thing. But I do want to do the writing, and if I can do the streaming as well, so much the better as well. When you have the hoose, I'll point you in her direction. Awesome, that'll be brilliant, Sean. Yes, that'd be fabulous. Get a lock with a monster in it. You had plenty of space on the green screen. It's even got green in the name. Well, that's true. It's definitely a green solution, wasn't it? Yeah, so that's quite good. So those things are good, and we'll just have to see how it goes. It's all kind of up there for happenings, but we just want to do something different to the norm, and it would be very easy to stay here and just sort of slowly drift off into retirement, and that'd be that. Because we're not in a bad place here. It's a nice house, and we're sort of in suburbia. It's okay. It's pleasantly green. It's reasonably quiet. You can walk to the doctors, walk to the supermarket, and everything else that you might need to do. It's been a great house to bring up the kids in because we've had access to the schools and all that kind of good stuff. But it's very ordinary. I think we're both just a bit bored, so we want to do something different. So we're rather than just go on holiday, we're going to change our entire lives. But hey, there we go. So we'll see how it all works out. But yeah, so I mean, Drew is looking for I wouldn't mind a castle, but castles are cold and hard to heat. So I'm not sure if a castle is quite right, but it's something a bit more interesting than just an ordinary suburban house. I think the word you're looking for is yeah, and I'm not a dull, or at least I hope I'm not a dull person. I can't think of anything worse than being boring. I don't want to just I definitely believe that life is for living, and you've got to go and do stuff, right? You've got to change nobody's going to change your life for you, so you need to do that yourself and go off and find your own adventures. So that's what we need to go and do, and I'm sure there'll be a few challenges on the way which I'll try and document because that's going to be quite fun. A double glazed castle, now there's an idea that might work. Writers could definitely afford Scottish castles. Netflix made a whole movie about it. Must be true. I'm not sure what they attract. I mean, I can understand the castle and the drawbridge and stuff, but a small farmstead will do me. Maybe with some moisture evaporators and stuff like that. Then I can nip down to Toshi Station and pick up some power converters. That would be quite good. Will I still be working? So I probably will. I mean, my original plan about 4 years ago was that no, I wouldn't be working at this stage. But alas, a few geopolitical events have slightly screwed up my retirement plans. Not least COVID, not least the Ukraine war, and the general sort of financial and governmental incompetence that's been on demonstration in the UK and the wider area in the last few years, which all combined have basically made me look at where my pensions and various other savings are going, you're not quite enough there to retire at this point. So I need to work a little bit longer in order to do what I want to do. The idea being that, hopefully in a few more years' time, without the mortgage, that I'll be able to sort of just, not have to work, if that makes sense. So that's my plan. We'll see how it goes. What's a pension? Well, a pension is this mythical thing that's supposed to allow you to stop working at some point in the future. So far, it hasn't yet materialised. I'm hoping that it will. Start small, like an allotment before you wreck the garden. I will. Yeah, I shall be cautious. I tell you what I do want to get. I want to get a ride-on lawnmower, just because that sounds like a fun thing to do. I think I might stream a session from the bow. I'm going to call it the bow of my ride-on lawnmower. I just think a ride-on lawnmower is the height of fun. So I've got to try it on those. There is a streamer I watch occasionally that gave up his job and streams now for. See, I wouldn't want to do this for the money, because these things are supposed to. Well, at least I think they're supposed to be fun, right? And it's the same with the writing. I wouldn't really want to write for money, because the problem with streaming and writing really is, it can evaporate overnight. I mean, I'd hate to have to rely on things like that for kind of financial security, because I mean, say you were a big Elite Dangerous streamer. I don't think people. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe that's not true, but are people doing that? I think you'd have to keep reinventing yourself all the time, and that would be quite a stressful thing to do. Constantly trying to find the next thing that's big to stream, right? Or in the case of writing, you're only as good as your last novel, and if your next novel flops, then suddenly all your your revenue starts to disappear. That would worry me. I wouldn't want to do that. It's all very well doing it for fun and as a bit of a hobby. You better name the ride-on lawnmower the Mobilis. That's awesome. Dear. You can't shear a lawnmower. That's very true. Is there a lawnmower simulator game? Have a try at that. That sounds really good. Dr. Kristen D, there's a bit of wisdom there. That's right. It becomes less fun when you do it for money as well. You risk turning your passion to... So that's the thing. I'd hate to basically think I've got to stream in order to eat and put money over my, a roof over my head. That would take all the fun out of it for me. So I wouldn't want to do that. And I as you can probably tell from my streams, my streams are not all that sophisticated. I haven't got all the little gizmos and bits and bobs that I see other people using, because I have no idea what they do and how they work. And when people cheer and they give me some bits, I go yay! But I've got no idea what they've done, right? And the little counters and things, it's a closed book to me. I just switch on the camera and waffle at it. That's literally all I do. So it's very unsophisticated. And I wouldn't want to have to crank out my novels to somebody else's schedule, or to basically say, unless this novel is good, I'm not going to eat in 6 months. That would be highly stressful, and I wouldn't want to do that. So same reason I gave up music in my early 30s. Got sick of playing music. I hated just to pay the bills. I wouldn't want to write formulaic books, and I wouldn't want to stream things just because. That's where the money is. So I mean, imagine having to, I don't know, if, in my example, that let's say Minecraft or something like that is the thing right now, which obviously isn't anymore, but it was. I am not a Minecraft player, right? I couldn't do it. I'd hate that. I stream what I want to stream, and for some bizarre reason, there's some people watching me, which probably says more about you guys than it says about me, but. Imagine Drew streaming Fortnite. I don't even know what Fortnite is. I am not a cool person. Okay, I'm not at the cutting edge of fashion. You could probably tell, right? The only benefit of not having my green screen is I can wear a green shirt without going transparent, which is quite good. Lum says, I know a streamer that made a living out of it and then stopped and returned to a normal, more mundane job. One of the reasons he complained was that being successful but not top tier, he literally had no vacation for like 3 or 4 years, and he ended up quite tired of some of the stuff he kept doing to keep them. Well, that's the trouble, you see, and then it's just another job. It's like, are you living to work or are you working to live? And that's the thing. I mean, I can't add anything to most games. Okay, I like computer games, but I'm not a big gamer. Elite was my thing for a long time because I knew a lot of the background story to it, and I was, dare I say it, probably a little bit more knowledgeable than most about a lot of stuff. And I like space games because I'm a sort of space game person. But as you've seen from my streams over the last however long, 2 years, I'm a mostly incompetent gamer. I don't play the games probably how they're supposed to be played. I just play it because I like space games and I like imagining and I like flying spaceships and stuff. But I'm not very good at playing games. I'm certainly no top tier pilot. I got to elite in exploration. That's all I managed to achieve, and I did that in it took me like 8 years or something. This is a good point. I was the top Frontier Elite 2 streamer on Twitch at one point in time. I was. I'm no longer, I don't think. We gloss over the fact that I was the only Frontier 2 Elite streamer on Twitch. But, you take your accolades when you can get them. And playing the retro games actually in some ways was more fun than the big games. Um, Probably because they were slightly more familiar, and I understood a little bit more about the technology back then. I could put it in context, and the stuff that was happening in the 80s and 90s. Yeah, it kind of made more sense to me. So I'm basically an old-fashioned person, and I'm an excellent pilot, but a so-so bomber. Yes, I was only following instructions when I dropped that nuke. So there we go. So yeah. Quite funny. I was always a big part of the community even before you started streaming. Oh, thank you very much, DJ. That's very kind of you to say. So I sort of fell into it because it was the Kickstarter Elite Dangerous that kind of introduced me to modern gaming, I suppose. I hadn't. We had a PlayStation 3 and a Wii in the 2000s, whenever those came out. I've still got the PlayStation 3 and the Wii. Never bothered to upgrade them because I'm not a big console player either. But until Elite came back, I was like, oh, Elite's back. I remember Elite. This is really exciting. One game that I was really into. Kind of reinvigorated interest. And I actually bought a PC. I hadn't bought a PC for years in order to play the original Alpha of Elite, because the PC I had at the time didn't have a Welk's chance and a supernova of playing the Elite because it didn't have a graphics card. So I bought a PC and everything to play to play Elite, and I kind of got into it. And suddenly I was in a world of multi-core processors and graphics cards and stuff that I had no idea what it was all about. And so I have learned a fair bit about all that sort of stuff, but by no means am I an expert. And I don't really want to be an expert. I'm not interested enough. 15, 20 years ago, I'd been all over it because, I liked technology. Whereas as I've got older, I've just kind of lost the verve for it. Kind of like, okay, it's a new shiny thing. It's faster than the old shiny thing. It's like, here's a new one out. Really? Okay, cool, whatever. I'm just not so interested anymore than I used to be, and that's probably an age thing. The new tech is like it's just more numbers. So keep failure as an option just in case. Yeah, made me laugh on the retro stream. Is failure an option? Actually, today failure is an option. Let's go with it. Drew, is streaming for you a way of meeting people in the way? I suppose it is, because the thing I find, I've got a local circle of friends here, and a few of them, probably 2 or 3 of them, have played Elite Dangerous, but not in a way that they'd be involved in the community of Elite Dangerous players. They just play it because they like space games. So, a few of them have heard of Elite, and a few of them play Elite, but that's about it. So, a few of my friends, some of them probably bought my books out of a sense of duty, but some of them like them, genuinely like them, and are looking forward to the next one. If I want to sit down in a pub and let's have a proper chinwag about Elite or Star Citizen or space games in general, or retro game classics. There aren't many people I could do that with, because the number of people interested in that combination of things there just aren't that many people. So I always enjoy going to conventions where you meet generally more like-minded people who are into that sort of stuff, right? And you can sort of sit around the bar and have a chat. That's good fun. But streaming, of course, allows you to focus in very much on a very, very specific category of people and have a chat with. And I know it's a weird kind of a one-way chat, isn't it? Because it's me chatting and you guys get to type texty things. But it is a way of meeting people and making some sort of friendship. I mean, I've chatted to a few of you guys in real life, and some of you on Discord and various other bits and pieces. And I genuinely consider you to be people I've met. But in my day-to-day life, most people aren't into space games. Most people aren't into retro games. Most people aren't into Elite or any of the other space sims. They haven't heard of them. fortunately through my kind of astronomy side of things, there's a few more geeky types, but they tend to be more sciencey geeks than they do to be video game geeks. So the only time I really interact with video game people is either through Twitch or Discord or through conventions, and conventions took a knock obviously in COVID. So all of those things combined together, it's nice to do things because you you meet more like-minded people, and when you make a joke about something, people get it. So it's established that we are people. Well, I mean, you could be. I don't think you've ever proved to my satisfaction that any of you actually exist. But there we go. Urban Spark says it's rare that you find another person who's ever even heard of Elite these days. So, I mean, I think that's another thing about the passage of time. I've noticed this. I went into the... because somebody pinged me that there was a thread on Reddit, the Elite Dangerous Reddit, that was talking about my book. And I went, send me the link, I'll pop in and say hello. Because that doesn't happen hardly at all anymore. That people were talking. I mean, the last book I did for Elite was like 6 years ago, and the first one was like 9 years ago. So it's like seriously ancient history, right? So I'm surprised anybody's talking about it. But they were talking about the first book and saying actually it was it's quite good. And there's a few people saying, oh, this other one's better. So I was like, told them to shut up, obviously. No, they didn't. Some people wait. There were books, what's it about? And clearly, there's a bunch of Elite players that have never heard the fact that there were books, and you kind of, in your head, you go, well, weren't you there for the Kickstarter? Weren't you there for the whole thing that And of course, they weren't. They've only just started playing in the last 6 months or a year, and they don't know any of the background, what happened in the game in the early years. Because why would they, right? And then they stumble on historic things as time goes, and it's historic now. It's ancient history. So it's funny actually going back. So I just popped in and said, somebody said, yeah, I read this Reclamation book. It was really good. So I just wrote, thanks, glad you enjoyed it. And of course my tag on Reddit is author of, and then all these people are like, who the hell is this? As the actual author's just turned up, which I think was a bit weird for them. But it's history. It's really weird. So there you go. If we are products of Drew's imagination, Drew should be very worried indeed. Yes, I couldn't. I'm this is where I'm sure you are real, obviously, because I couldn't imagine anything as weird as you guys. I did that video interview, but it could have been moderately sophisticated AI. Yeah, JR 1988 might be a fairly sophisticated AI. That's possible. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Donislaw says, I've known about the game for years, but never knew there were books until today. Well, there you go. You see, there were books. There were a lot of books, actually. Michael Brooks even wrote one. In fact, he wrote the first one. So, there's a whole raft of stuff to be discovered about the game that maybe didn't know. Check out my website. There you go. Let me type it in. www.drewwager.com. Bit of self-advertising. That you'll find out about all the Elite stuff I did from my website. The number of people who knew about I sell the prospect but not why it's there makes me smart. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that happened that an awful lot of people knew about, but some of that knowledge has sort of slowly atrophied away as people have moved on and done different things. Dr. Chris MD says the books are the best part of Elite. The game is the universe. The books are the life. Oh, that's very kind. Thank you very much. Drew's analyst is Gag Hellfront. Well, Drew Wager's just this guy, The secret is to bang the rocks together. That will work. And the Reclamation audio. And Chris did an amazing job on putting the audiobook together with the voice talents of Toby Longworth. So that was far above and beyond anything I did. But they really brought the story to life on the audiobook. That was an amazing piece of work. So there were some amazing things done, and I'm glad to have been a part of it. But in my life now, that's a piece of personal history that's happened and kind of done and put in the box. It's whatever people think of Elite now, I'm an irrelevance to that conversation because I've not been in it since goodness knows when. But that it's something I did, and oddly enough, I tend to find my life goes in sort of 7 to 8 year chunks, because I was the chairman of the Mark 1 Volkswagen Golf Owners Club back in the early 2000s. I did that, then handed it over to somebody else. Then I was the chairman of my local astronomical society here in Kent for about 8 years, and then I've handed that over to somebody else. And then I was involved with Elite Dangerous for about 6, 7, 8 years, maybe, if you squidge it out a little bit. And I've kind of done that and handed it off. So now I'm kind of like, what's my next thing? And that's this kind of Scottish thing, I think. So there you go. Which was the first Elite book I wrote? The first one was Elite Reclamation, or Elite Dangerous Reclamation. I think it was just called Elite Reclamation, actually. And then I followed up with a sequel called Premonition. So there we go. But before that was Michael Brooks' book. Michael Brooks was the executive producer of Elite Dangerous when it first came out. And that was Elite Legacy. So check that one out as well. It's worth looking about. And Status Quo was a fan fiction book I wrote for a Elite-based game called Olite, which is probably a bit complicated to explain now. I think most of you will know it. I wrote that long before Elite Dangerous was a thing, because I liked Elite, which was the game from 1984 that inspired Elite Dangerous, with no particular intention of doing anything other than just having fun with it. But oddly enough, I'd finished the last one of those series shortly before the Elite Dangerous Kickstarter came out. So when the Kickstarter came out for Elite Dangerous, I was able to say, hey, look, I wrote all this stuff over here. Some of you may have read, which kind of gave me slight heads up, I think, or a slight leg up, as it were, in terms of doing the Elite writing at the time, because I could say I'd already published something, which was kind of true. So there we go. Let's see how it goes. What about my wife? Together more than 6 and 7 years. We have been together for 28 years. So that's a different category entirely. We got married in 1995. So yes, that's a long old time. In fact, we've been married longer than we weren't married, if that makes sense. Which is, and I've reminded my wife recently that she's been a Wager longer than she was a Cherry, which was her maiden name. I've just got a look for that one. A loving look, I hope, but possibly not. Wait and see. I think it was more a roll the eyes sort of a look. But there we are. So 28 years just gone. A little harsh on yourself, says Erman Sparks. Your enthusiasm for the game and support for players via the Law Tours is a big deal for many, me included. Oh, that's very kind of you, Erman Sparks. Thank you very much. I did enjoy the Law Tours because, and Michael Brooks was, and I hope that I kind of alluded to that in the Law Tour that I did for Michael last week, is that none of that would have been possible without Michael Brooks, because he was the one who was keen on gluing some of the original stories of the Elite mythos from 1984 into the current game. You know, if Michael Brooks hadn't done that, there would have been no Raxler, there would have been no Dark Wheel continuation into Elite Dangerous. I'm absolutely 100% convinced of that, because for all his cleverness, David Braben isn't into the story side of it at all. He's the technical guy, he's the businessman, he's the ships, the graphics, the technology. That's David Braben's bag. Okay. Michael Brooks was the story guy, and the lore guy, and the narrative guy, and the history guy. He was the guy who wanted the story to continue. So, and I built on top of that. Okay, so I only really, I suppose, documented what had happened and tried to digest it and then take people around it in the tours. But if Michael Brooks hadn't put the effort in early on to make sure that all that happened, I mean, if you remember back in the Kickstarter, he did all the fiction diaries. Some of you will remember. You remember the fiction diaries. Now, Michael Brooks did those long before I did any of the Law Tours. So that's where I suppose the kernel and that stuff came from, is that Michael Brooks went in there and he talked about the Federation, and he talked about the Empire, and he talked about the Alliance, and he talked about the Thargoids and everything else at the point of the Kickstarter. And the Law Tours were way, way, way later on. Yeah, I did all the tours, missed them. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. But to be honest, we got to a point where there wasn't any more law to do. Uh, Gemma and I hit that bit of my life this year. I know what you mean. Yeah. So the law tours were brilliant. Loved the following along with all that. And it's nice to go on a tour, isn't it? And then go to the places. I mean, that's what we do in real life with tours, isn't it? The law tour during the pandemic was majorly helpful. It was something that just gave an escape from a situation, maintains a sense of community. Yeah, so I mean, I think I kind of did them as a sort of antidote to COVID and things. And Michael Brooks did do a proper job. You're quite right. When Michael was in charge of Elite, he acted like a dungeon master of the game. It was, he was chucking things in and not, he was alluding to things, but he wasn't giving anything away, and he did that very, very well. So, I mean, he was, the Frank Money, you're quite right. The amount of work he put in was staggering. I mean, I think he overloaded himself to a degree. Certainly, towards the end of the book publishing era, around about the end of 2014, when the game was coming out and the pressure was on, initially my demands for a star map were met with like slightly funny emails. Towards the end, they were getting a little bit more terse because clearly the stress was on and the deadlines were pushing. So I mean, I backed off a little bit at that point because clearly the pressure was getting. So in those early days, Michael Brooks fielded virtually everything to do with the writers and the exec production of the game, and it must have been very, very stressful. Even though it was fun, it was still stressful. An amazing guy, and a huge contribution to Elite and everything like that. And looking back at it now, I'm pleased to have been a part of it. Kind of like, hey, I was there. The thing with it was Elrond. I was there, Gandalf. I was there when the strength of men fell. No, I was there when Michael Brooks did his thing. It's that. It feels like it's that long ago now. It was 2012 when all that was happening, and that is 11 years ago now. It's a long old time. It feels like a totally different era. I'm pleased to have been a part of it. And those early Lave Cons and Fantastic Cons in 2013 and 2014, great memories, right? But it's a decade ago. I was there, Gandalf. It feels like a different era, and I think it kind of is a different era now. And Elite's still out there, and people can still play it, and stuff's happening, and there's kind of like a new generation of people playing it now. Doing different stuff, and good luck to them. Good luck to them. It's not for me anymore. They took it in a direction that I didn't like, and I've talked about EDO more than enough, so I'm not going to do that anymore. But it evolved. It went on a different way. So there we go. My camera seems to have problems focusing. So I think it's the light because it's now quite dark in here. Apologies. It's struggling. I'll try and sit really, really still. Too much pew pew and not enough story. Yeah, I suppose that's. I mean, they've tried with the Asm of Saga and the Thargoid stuff, but it's just the glacial tempo of everything. I think, and they haven't got enough people working on it anymore, and they haven't got the cash to chuck at it, I guess. So, I suppose it is what it is. Way back before the Wombles took to the heavens, indeed. Yeah. So, but we had a lot of fun, and if people are still having fun with it, then good luck to them. That's what I say. But. There were some missed opportunities along the way, which is a shame. And there were a bunch of things that I would like to have seen that never happened, like the Tierney's Orbital Graveyard and stuff like that. But it's not going to happen now. So we just have to kind of roll with it and get on with it. And like I say, I'm trying to do other things. And a lot of people go, oh yeah, Drew Egg, he's the elite guy, and that's really irritating. I don't want to be the elite guy. I've done other stuff just as worthy. But there we go. It's a shame that they couldn't put big events into the game as story missions so new players could go and experience the Rift. Yeah, I mean, so that to me is a way they could use some of the contents in there that people don't know about. So it's pew pew now, and it may be peaceful times ahead too. So yeah, once the Thargoids have been sent backing and they've done it, but there we go. Mustache need to go to the shops before the shut. Be good. Lovely to see you, DJ. Take it easy. Have a good time. But yeah, it's from my perspective, it's a thing that's been done. I was a very privileged position to be able to write a book in something that I'd played with since I was a kid. So, achievement unlocked as far as I'm concerned. It was really good. But never go back. Never go back. It's always been a motto of mine: is never go back. Don't try and recapture a past glory. Because it can never be quite as good as the first time, right? Don't go on holiday to the same place because it's never quite as good. Go on holiday somewhere new, or do something new, do something different, and that's always been a way I've tried to run my life, I suppose. Try and do something. Let's do something new, because there's there's not much time, and things like Michael Brooks. Dear Michael Brooks' sudden demise. I still don't know exactly what happened. He was younger than me, that's for sure. You reflect on the conversations you have with people, and suddenly they're just not there anymore. And it makes you, none of us know how long we've got, right? None of us know whether we're going to get hit by a bus tomorrow or anything. You plan, you think, oh, well, I've got 20 years or 30 years or 40 years to do the thing. So I won't do it now, I'll do it next year. Or next year, or the year, or maybe in 5 years' time. Well, I can't do it at the moment because of this, and I can't do it then because of that. And you just, you just don't know. And so, I think the perspective, certainly my wife and I have been talking about this a fair bit over the years, is you've just got to get on and do it. Damn the risk, damn the uncertainty. Just get out there and do some life, okay? So, you have to be planning a bit, but, because you've got you can't be stupid and reckless, but you've also got to take some risks. I think you've got to get out there and shake the tree a little bit and find out what life has got out for you, because otherwise you just get dull. And that's the thing that, going full circle in the stream, I can't cope with dull, right? I don't want to be boring. When I'm old, and I do plan on being a really old guy at some point in the future, right? I don't want to be, and if I do end up in a nursing home, I don't want to be the guy, oh yeah, it's Drew in the nursing home, he's just muttering to himself. I want to be the one the nurses are going, what the hell's he up to now? If I could achieve that would be achievement unlocked as well. Dr. goes to do. It's also a shame that a deal of new content they have is sort of shallow and requires player to put in countless engineering and unlocking things to experience it properly. The old mysteries and events were not so restrictive. I haven't got time for that unlocking. I did the Guardians thing, which was quite good, and I unlocked the Guardian frameshift thingamabob, and I did a bit of engineering to make the hyperspace jumps a bit longer, because that was useful to me as an explorer. But that's it, right? I kind of looked at the rest and thought, nope. So I did the minimum amount of engineering. I did the grind for the Imperial Cutter because I thought I've got to have that ship. That's an end game ship for me. So I got that, and then that was enough. I had enough of grinding by that point. So that's the talk most elder people do. Yeah, thanks. But it is true. When you're younger, you feel invulnerable, right? You feel you've got so much time on your hands that you can just do whatever. I think as you get older, you realise that you've got no idea how much time you've got left, and B, you haven't got as much time left as you think. I'm just thinking back to the beginning of Elite, right? That's like 11 years ago now. 11 years from now, I'll be 60. I'll be mid-60s. So that's getting properly old. Another beyond that, I'll be in my late 70s. I think, well, that's only 2 chunks of time that I've already just experienced. It won't take that long for those years to go by. So what am I going to do, right? What am I going to do with that time? And I don't even know if I've got that. Both my dad died at age 72 and my grandfather died at age 71. So, and I have got a heart condition which I inherit. I was born with. So, make hay while the sun shines, right? Do right, live today. No one knows about tomorrow. Well, that's the thing. I fully intend to grow old disgracefully. Yeah, well, Elkin Sean, I'm up for that as well. So let's Commander Sea Dweller has already started. Excellent. Ion Toxin says that's the story that all old people say, me included. Age-related body crumble. So yeah, I mean, I'm keeping myself reasonably fit. I mean, last year I did a 60-mile cycle ride around Kent. I reckon I could still do that easily enough. So I'm pretty fit. My wife and I eat. I mean, my wife's very, very good at cooking us healthy food. So yeah, that's really, really good. So hopefully, I'm trying to keep the odds in my favour, but like you say, no guarantees. And I like writing. I like doing things. I like driving my old cars. There's lots of things I want to do. I'd like to build a car from scratch, just because you can, right? I wouldn't mind trying that. Dr. Christian, my dad passed at 40 and I'm 33. The clock is ticking. So there's the thing. I mean, my wife, Anita, her dad died at 46. And it was a bit of a thing when we both went past that age, because you suddenly think, well, hang on, we are now older than he was at the age he died. And we remember him being old when we were like teenagers. So yeah, maybe a kit car. I don't know. And I suppose you just get a slightly heightened sense of your own mortality. And you get the occasional aches and pains in various bits of your body. They don't quite heal up as fast as they used to when you bash something. Orkney Sean says, the 63, fat ex-smoker, half a leg missing, passion for motorbikes and fast women. Or was it the other way around? Fast bikes and motor women. I don't know. Lucky I've got this far. Fair enough. I can't do a great deal to save the world and various other bits of me. But if I can bring a bit of joy to people through my waffles and my books and various other bits and pieces I do, I think, hey, I've contributed to to world happiness as best I can. So that's, I suppose, my ambitions are modest. I don't want to be like super famous or super rich. I just want to do what I feel I can do. I'm a writer. I like telling stories. I do like engaging with people to a degree. I'm quite an introvert. If you come around to my house, you'll be welcome for about 2 hours, and then you can sod off. Okay. 2 hours is about all I can cope with, and I want people to go home. So there's a subtle hint if you do come around and visit. Very nice for a couple of hours, and then please go away. But within that period of time, you'll have my full attention and we'll have a great chat. Sounds about right to me. I don't think I can cope with fast women now. That's not me. Broke my lungs smoking in my youth. Still battle it every day with dog walking, drumming, and singing at the same time. Can be done. Fight on. The stupid things we did when we were young, will hang over into old age, won't they? Unfortunately. I was reasonably sensible actually when I was young. I'm not too bad. I couldn't keep up with fast women now. I think I may have left it a little bit late in my career to be considering fast women anyway. First wife was a good housekeeper. I left, she kept the house. Oops. Yep. Hence the motorbikes. Well, that's it. Donislaw got a crash course in living life and my own mortality back in 2015, as I had a friend of mine who was 25 and was diagnosed with leukemia and was gone in 3 weeks. Yeah, you see, that's the sort of stuff that just focuses the mind, doesn't it? And we've had, in the elite world, we've had a few people, not obviously recently Michael Brooks himself, but had a few commanders pass on, haven't we? Commander Plater, most recently before Michael Brooks, and before that, there were a few others as well. And young kids dying. I mean, you remember Michael and Evelyn that I did those little stories for? Tragic stories. I think they were 13 and 11, and you just think, they haven't even started living at that age, and that's it. That's all they get. Just like carpe diem, seize the day, and all that sort of stuff. I know Man's Sky YouTuber passed in last week. So just, that's basically the motivation for all of this stuff, is just get on with it, guys. Go out there and do stuff, have fun, take some risks, make some memories, etc, etc, etc. Fast women are overrated. Met a lot in the music biz. More of a headache. Or some other words we can replace the asterisks with. So it's a funny old thing, isn't it? Life, it's a funny old thing. There's an age when your death is no longer a tragedy. Out of the way, make room for the new stuff. I mean, I'd like to, and I've had the opportunity actually in recent years to do a bit of mentoring of younger folk in my kind of professional capacity. I'd like to hope that I've inspired a few people to get on with writing and get on with Twitch streaming or content creation or just doing stuff over my time. If I've got a few people into doing things as a result of being enthusiastic about some of the stuff that I've done, that's a good thing in my book. Ache, that's the word, definitely. I once had a conversation with a friend in college which he was planning for the future, and he died at 17. And I still remember what he was planning. That's so sad, isn't it? At least you get a chance to lie. That's a good point. Lions are something I enjoy more and more and more as I get older. Certainly inspired me to crack on with my writing. Well, there you go. Thank you very much. It's good to know. I had a lovely, actually on a slightly separate note, elite related note, I had a lovely comment on my YouTube video, because I put the Michael Brooks thing up on YouTube, and had a lovely comment from, I think, a Paul or a Peter, must have been Paul, can't remember, who I think was either is a current or an ex-Frontier employee who worked with Michael Brooks. He just said, it was just really nice. Thanks for doing this. I think doing things to remember people, I think, is, to celebrate what they accomplished is a good. I'd like to think that if I did snuff it tomorrow, that somebody would do a Drew Wagerlord tour on my behalf. It would just be a lot of hanging around at One Planet waffling. But so it's just one of those things. I don't know. Zokidal K, which is an amazing username. Good time zone. Good day. Good evening. Good night. Good afternoon. Exactly. Good to see you. Best part of teaching was the lids. Best part of teaching was the lids. It was the environment that made it untenable eventually. So what sort of environment were the lids operating in there, Commander Seedweller? Were they the really awkward Tupperware ones that wouldn't come off, or were they sort of screw lids, or what was happening? I'm assuming you mean kids, but the typo was too much to resist. Sorry. Dear. Lol. Must do a topping cast. Yes, you must. An old man turned 98. He won the lottery and died the next day. Well, isn't that ironic? Don't you think? Wintermute GB Paul Crow. I don't know if it was a Paul Crow. Let me see if I can find out. I didn't recognise the name actually, so it might have been somebody I bumped into at one of the Frontier events. Who, trouble is, the problem with the elite stuff is I've met so many people over the 11 years, and I'm not good with names anyway. When I speak to people, they quite often remember a conversation or some kind of interaction with me which I have entirely forgotten. Not because it wasn't memorable, it's just because I've had so many and I can't associate them with people. Let me see if I can find out. What was it? Paul Worcester. Is it Paul? No, it's not Crow though. Well, at least the username is Paul Worcester. So it's not a name I remember. But anyway, there we go. It wouldn't be a Drew stream without existential dread. Yeah, it needs some existential dread. It's good for us. Orkney says, I taught media moving image for a while. I do see a couple of old student names pop up in films and TV days as camera people. Well, that's good, isn't it? Passing on some skills to to younger folk is an important thing. That was one of the toughest parts of going from those teen years into adulthood. Your first experience with mortality and seeing some classmates and friends go so young. So yeah, even my kids have seen some of their school friends not make it into adulthood, which is shocking, really, isn't it? But that's just the world. Just happens. Making more money. Well, I had a colleague which I mentored years and years ago, 20 years ago, probably now. And she was the most timid person I think I had ever encountered at that point. She wouldn't say boo to a goose when I first met her. And I did a little bit of coaching and she learned a few bits and pieces. And we were only in the same company for a couple of years. And, she was a little bit better when she left, but not vastly amount. And I looked her up on LinkedIn the other day, and now she's like a partner in a law firm. She's doing a lot better than I ever did. And I'm like, yeah, go, sister. It's like I'm looking through her career list, and so suddenly she sort of just found what she was good at and accelerated up the corporate ladder, and now she must be earning millions as a partner of a big law firm. And good on her. She found something that she was really, really good at, and if I was even the tiniest part of that, that's quite good. So you just never know. You just never know what impact you might have, and hopefully it's a positive thing. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that, but she seems to be doing fine. So as far as I can tell, I met some of my past students after they came out of prison. I'm not sure that's quite the role model we're looking for. Come on, the scene a little bit. Hey, we'll take it. It's the morale boost stream to keep us going before we lose Drew for so long. I'm sorry, but we will attempt to be back. We will attempt to be back. I think one of the best part of being a mentor or teacher is seeing the people you help doing better than you. Yeah, so that's good, isn't it? I think if you can have a positive impact on that kind of stuff, and I'm generally mostly a positive person. I occasionally I'm a bit down in the mouth and a bit grumpy, but hey, that happens. But there we go. Blue Gannon says adieu. He's got to go. Good luck with the move, Drew. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Blue Gannon. Thanks for all of your contributions to the stream over time, and that really goes for all of you, because I have to wrap this up because it's getting late, isn't it? I've got to get up early again tomorrow. And this has been this stream has been a pure waffle, but all of the things that we've done on these streams. So I'm thinking the writing stuff, the law tours, the Elite Dangerous, just general stuff, the Star Citizen stuff, the No Man's Sky, all the retro streams, all the 80s 8-bit stuff. It's all been tremendous fun, right? I've enjoyed having you guys along for the ride, and it's just what I still find amazing is I can just sit here talking absolute bollocks for a couple of hours, and laughing at my own jokes, which is probably the height of rudeness, right? or self-indulgence, anyway. And you guys are still here. So bringing it to a close is a little bit bittersweet, but it's not quite. It's farewell rather than goodbye, right? It's only life, some life priorities that are getting in the way of streaming for the time being. Hopefully, I will be back after all that kind of stuff. Just a huge thank you. Zokchital K says, curious, as a writer, do you use a pad, electronic or manual while on the go to jot down ideas? I must admit, I have a notepad. So I do it the old-fashioned way with a notepad and a pencil, because I just prefer that method. Because I always find the phones either delete the stuff or the predictive text doesn't work, or I'm just slower at taking the ideas down. I tend to find a pad and a pencil works best. I keep one by my bed as well, just in case I come up with an idea in the middle of the night. Because the problem is, you try and remember it, and you keep yourself awake, and then the moment you do fall asleep, and then you wake up, you can't remember what it was that you were being kept awake by. So, having a notepad by your bed is a good idea as well. That's how I do it. One of the good things about doing your streams for enjoyment is that your viewers will still be there after the moving break. Yeah, so hopefully I'll keep you posted as it all goes. I'll try and still post vaguely witty things on Twitter and Facebook and various, for those of you who follow me there. So, and I'll pop into Discord as often as I can. really just, I suppose, a heartfelt thank you for all the company, all the fun, and some of the comments have been amazing. We've had some really, really good times, as some of the Twitch clips have shown. Over the years, there's been some great moments, which I really appreciate, all the fun and the silliness that we've had. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining in and being part of the True Wager experience, as it were. I will definitely see you again. We will be back, but we will have more shenanigans and more fun. Thank you ever so much. Look after yourselves. Be good. Have fantastic weeks and months and years ahead of you. I'll keep you posted. I will keep you posted as to how things go. And I will see you all as soon as possible, guys. Be good. See you soon. Yes, my wife has a space tea break. She does. Take it easy. I will keep you posted. Stay tuned, and I will let you know how I do. But for now, my friends, right on retro writing commanders. Take it easy. Be good. See you soon.